The pathway out of the COVID pandemic is becoming clearer, with our Federal Health Minister confirming we could be vaccinated by March.
They were trying to stop the Sydney Opera House.
That we demand immediate action.
$10 million a double shot means it's enough for 5 million Australians.
We need at least 70% of Australians to be vaccinated.
By March, Australians will be vaccinated is not overly optimistic. I think it's quite accurate.
If we go ahead with the AstraZeneca vaccine, we'll be likely living with the virus for a very long time.
Yeah, and there's a real debate now around this efficacy. And of course, understandably, people are going to be confused because they hear about the Pfizer vaccine and we're going to get an early rollout of that, and then AstraZeneca, and why we would be having more of the AstraZeneca rollout than Pfizer.
The reason we're going to get more is we've got more doses in the country and we're making them when we've got enough doses of the Astra vaccine to immunise the whole of Australia. So that's why, and it's cheap. And and it's safe. So that's why the Astra one's sitting there. The problem for the government is it probably hasn't bought widely enough at this stage. So the Pfizer one will protect people against disease to that 95% level, which is much better than the Astra vaccine. The question, and it's about expectations, I think the expectation by most Australians is, and we've been told this for a year now, is this will be over when we get a vaccine.
Hi, I'd just like to draw your attention to the COVID-19 vaccination. And I also want to bring your attention to, cancers, motor neurons disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, and all those other nasty diseases and illnesses that we've got out there lurking, waiting to take us out at the end of our life. Basically, if they haven't come up with a cure for all these that have been around a lot longer than this strain of COVID, then why are we all going to be lining up and want this poison administered into our blood system, where it can absolutely have the worst side effects that you can think of imaginable? I mean, sterile, it can make you have like a Parkinson's disease effect. Tremors, it can change your DNA and your chromosomes, everything. It's just, why do you want to put your faith in the government and these big pharmaceutical companies that aren't going to benefit? The pharmaceutical companies aren't going to benefit from it at all. Basically, well, they will actually benefit from it because they're going to be making billions and billions of money because they don't want to make us well. Why the hell do you think big pharmaceutical companies who are making trillions and billions of dollars each year want to come up with a vaccination or any kind of medicines that are going to make you well? I mean, that's just stupid. It's just a nonsense, if you ask me. So, unfortunately, that's my opinion. Do your research before you even think about putting this stuff into your system. And happy researching. Bye.
The No Mandatory Vaccination Party has more than 2,000 members in Western Australia. It's the third biggest party. We're totally against all the mandatory aspects of the vaccination. We're against the ability of employers to prevent people being employed if they don't have the vaccination, or to maintain their job if they don't have the vaccination. And we're also against mandatory vaccination of school children. We are particularly opposed to Section 158 of the Public Health Act of 2016, which says that the police can turn up at your door, remove your clothing, and give you a vaccination, including removing your underwear. It's an absolutely draconian law, so we're opposed to those aspects of the law, and we hope to get a decent vote on March 13th and the 2 weeks preceding that with the early polling. So thanks very much. I hope we get some support on the day.
Hi, I'm Steve from the Northern Territory. Just been asked to give my opinion on the vaccination for the COVID-19. I don't think there's been enough research done on the vaccine itself. It's only been in testing for about approximately 9 months. A normal vaccine takes 8 to 10 years. So not sure about the repercussions of taking a vaccine that hasn't had enough testing to be done. And also I believe that it should be involuntary to take the vaccine. That's just my opinion from the Northern Territory.
I feel individually that there's not enough, or I haven't received enough adequate information on its effectiveness and its safety. I think that those two issues have to be paramount. I don't want to be taking anything that's going to have any adverse effects or potentially, death. We've seen what happens in Norway. We're seeing what's been happening around the world, and I don't want to fall victim to taking something that's rushed. My previous history is in the building industry, and I believe that applies here, because from my experience, anytime anything was rushed, it didn't matter what it was, but anything got rushed, there was always mistakes. There was always something negative that came from it because it was rushed. I think that, testing for a safe and effective vaccine takes time. I don't think they've had the length of time that they need to be able to honestly say, hey, this is it, this is going to work. And if that was the case, and they want to, and they were going to be held liable for any adverse reactions or anything that came of it, then cool, sure, hey, if the vaccine's what we need, vaccine's what we need. But until that point in time, I don't feel comfortable having it, and I won't be pressured or pushed into having it until it's at least met that one, it's effective, and two, it's safe. So if you're all for the vaccine, hey, that's cool, not a problem. You can be one of the people that they tested on, and I'll stand back and watch. And then when it's proven to be safe and effective, then if that time comes and everyone needs a vaccine, well, we'll cross that bridge then. That's my view on it anyway. All right, have a good night.
With the WA just being locked down by Mark McGowan, it seems like a fairly good time to maybe have a bit of a chat about the COVID-19 vaccine that is going to be very much part of our immediate future. Look, from my perspective, all vaccinations are a medical procedure, and because they are a medical procedure, they do entail a certain level of risk. And for that reason, I firmly believe that there should be no coercion involved with anybody having to actually receive a vaccine if they don't actually wish to actually have that vaccine injected into them. There are known side effects. They are claiming that the vaccine will be safe and effective. You'll hear that very often. But the reality is there's no long-term data on these particular vaccines. And the COVID-19 vaccine is a very different beast to other vaccinations or vaccines that you may or may not have received. The COVID-19 vaccine is what they call a messenger RNA vaccine. So it behaves in a very different way, whereas traditionally the vaccine would be injected into your bloodstream and you would actually get an immune response to the proteins that were actually in that vaccine. What actually happens with these new breed of vaccines is that the cells in your body are actually convinced to actually produce the protein to which there is an immune response. That's never been done before. They are claiming it's safe, but if you look at the animal trials, and I very much encourage you to do your own research on this, if you look into the animal trials, you'll actually find that there was a significant, I'll just leave it at that, level of risk involved with these vaccines, and they were not successful. Now we are planning to roll these out across every single person in the state of Western Australia. And I believe that's very foolhardy, and especially if it's mixed with a level of coercion, which I really disagree with, where you've got corporations actually stating that you won't be able to go to work if you don't have the vaccine. And that can't be allowed to happen. It's certainly something I would be fighting very strongly against. And I hope you have a great day from this point forward, and enjoy the lockdown if you're actually in lockdown. I'm sure all the kids are going to have a nice little extended holiday there. And yeah, we look forward to your feedback and anything you've got to say. Cheers. Catch you later.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Dobrin's my name from the Great Australia Party. On this day of 1st of February, Monday 2021, Western Australia's gone into lockdown in a couple of areas in light of one case. Having said that, one of the questions I repeatedly get asked on a regular basis is, what do I think about vaccinations, particularly in light of the COVID vaccine just about to be rolled out? And very quite simply, my opinion is, stick to your guns, get to know your constitution, read section 51, subsection 23. Vaccinations are not mandatory in this country, and at the same time, before you inject anything into your body, read the contents. If you don't know what you're injecting into your body, my suggestion would be, don't do it. Do a bit of research, ask all the appropriate questions before you proceed any further with that. You've got every right to actually ask anything of that matter before you actually proceed with the injection. So don't be shy to ask, and irrespective of people, even if they frown upon you, let them frown. It is your body, and that belongs to you, and that is your choice what you put inside your body. That's it from me, Tony Dobrin, Great Australia Party.
As the leader of the Great Australian Party, I want to make this point. GAP supports voluntary vaccination. And when it comes to COVID-19, one must ask the question, how can a direction issued by a Chief Health Officer be binding on the general public if it has not been laid before the Parliament and appears to have bypassed the democratic lawmaking process? So for these reasons, we encourage the people to comment on what we say.
Bushfires will become even more frequent as climate change worsens. Although the weather has cooled slightly in parts of Australia, authorities say with months of summer left,
the worst is yet to come.